Today, we're going to talk through a pretty big pet peeve of mine, which is a bit of an oxymoron, but this is one of those ones that's pretty frustrating, and it relates to sellers on eBay not combining postage. Now, this is one of those things that I'm sure each and every one of you have gone through, but I want to talk you through a pretty good tip and trick that I've done in the past to get some of these shady sellers caught out, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to make the same mistake, and 9 times out of 10, that mistake is going to come back to bite them on the backside. So, that's what I want to talk through today. I really wasn't going to record a video today because I've been pretty busy with work, but I saw a friend of mine who I've met through the hobby put up a post, and I thought, you know what, this is a good time to talk about this topic once again, even though it is fairly stock standard. Now, this is a friend of mine, Zar Crazy Collect. I've met him quite a few times at card shows here in Sydney. We've done, a few trades and given each other some freebies, which is pretty cool. But what he goes on to say is that he sort of bought a card off an eBay seller, and they've sort of tried to shaft him when it comes to combining postage. Now, this is unfortunate because it's an Aussie ripping off an Aussie. That's not something we normally like to see. But, this is even worse for us Aussies when it comes to international sellers, and I'll clarify that a little bit later on. But what the long story short is, he won 5 cards, and what this guy is trying to do is charge him postage for every single one of those rather than combining an invoice. And that's what, the customer's message here, which is Zar Crazy Collect. And this is an automated message from the seller basically saying, can you hurry up and pay? He's saying, I'm not going to pay because, you know what, I've requested a combined total. Can you please combine it for me? The seller, like all these scumbags do to try and maximize the amount of money they can make, is that, he doesn't combine postage, and postage is calculated in the listing price. Now, what, my mate basically goes on to say is that you want him to pay $15 per card to post it, which is going to add up to $75, 15 by 5. Which is, a really shitty thing to do. And this is what this guy is saying, yes, that is the case. And he sort of goes on to say that that's how his listings work, right? And he goes on to say here as well that these cards are worth more than what they're selling for. So he's sort of justified by that fact that even paying $20 for this, because you have to pay for the full postage, it's still a good deal, which is, obviously an absurd way to do it. This is what people like this do because they use the postage as a buffer to make up their losses, which is, a scumbag behavior move. Now, what the guy goes on to say is that, he's gone ahead and updated his listings now to correctly reflect the fact that the postage is included in the sales price, but he doesn't do it that way because he gets charged less on commission, obviously trying to bypass eBay fees policy, like really dodgy stuff, really lazy stuff. But that's sort of how the rest of the conversation goes down. He ultimately cancels the transaction because he doesn't want to argue, which is really frustrating. Now, in terms of the tips and tricks that I do, it's mainly one thing. It is catching these guys out because they all end up doing the same thing. And that same thing is shipping the multiple cards in one package. So they've gone ahead and charged you 3, 4, 5 times to post something, but then shipped it in one because they want to try and rip you off, right? They're doing this to make the money, right? They're not going to go ahead and pay for the postage so they can maximize how much money they're making. And this happens, 9 times out of 10, like I've said. And the approach I've taken with this, and this is the tip you can implement, is film the package once you get it, right? There's 2 steps here, actually. If they've gone ahead and used one tracking number on eBay for all the items, that's an easy win for you to go ahead and complain to eBay support. But if they have not done that and they've made it look like they've shipped them individually, but when it arrives, you get one package, film the opening and then show that all cards are within there. And then you know what? Go to eBay help. You say, hey, this person's charged me 5 times. I got video footage to show they packaged it in one, and eBay is going to support you. Now, eBay chat here in Australia is a lot more supportive than what it is in the States, from what I've been told based on the videos I've done in the past, but it's still worth a shot in the US. It's helped me a heck of a lot here in Australia, in particular with purchases I've made in the US that have shipped internationally, because sellers in the US have done this a heck of a lot too, because obviously the postage fees to ship from the US to Australia are quite high. It's like $100, including GST and things like that for one card. So what has happened in the past is the sellers see that as an opportunity to sort of make even more money, right? So they've done that to me quite a few times as well. And all it takes is one quick video and one quick message to eBay, and boom, bang, you get your money back, and that seller gets a warning or even blacklisted, as I've seen in the past, which, again, if you're somebody that actively does this, please stop doing it. It's a really shitty thing. It's, one of those ones where you're just ripping off your fellow collector. So please don't do it. And if you see somebody doing it, like my mate did, call them out, because it's completely unacceptable. I don't get it. And I know you guys might see this as complaining or whatever, but it's freaking fraud. Stop ripping people off. Like, guys, if you sell a card for a cheap price, so be it. There's many others that you've made good money on. So just take the good with the bad kind of thing. Don't just go ahead and be a shady piece of shit and do this kind of stuff, because it's, a really shitty thing to do. So, share your thoughts on this one. I'm sure you've all dealt with it in the past. This is also a funny one because I've had people say similar things to me. Now, when I'm selling things internationally, and I've sold a lot of my Flawless Soccer PC lately that I've talked about before on my channel. I've done it because I'm trying to fund a bigger piece. Now, because these cards are like $300-400 Australian, maybe even more, I've got to pay for insurance. So when somebody's bought 2 off me, the postage price that I have listed is only enough to cover the express postage to the US plus the insurance for that 1 card. So when you buy 2, I'm going to have to increase the insurance amount to cover the cost of the second card, but it's still going to be cheaper than the second card, right? You're still going ahead and combining postage. So, what we're talking about here is not situations where you're legitimately combining postage, and the combining postage means, okay, maybe it has to go in a bigger box, which means you maybe get charged more to post it, or for the insurance piece I just mentioned. What these people are doing is not that, right? They're going ahead and charging you the full postage fee, $15 multiple times, right? That's completely different, and they're obviously not having to go ahead and pay that to the post office. When we're talking about things combining cards to ship in a bigger box, the postage ends up getting charged at the post office, right? You're paying that amount, or sometimes you even make a loss. I make a loss a lot of times in terms of the postage I charge because I want to ship it more express. I want to ship it more secure, and to do that effectively from Australia ends up being quite expensive if the person is living overseas. So I go above and beyond. I pay a little bit extra. I eat into my profit to make everyone happy, but this is not the same as what people like this are doing. So that was just a random thought that I had. So anyway, didn't want to do a video today. He's been really busy at work, and YouTube's been a bit funny lately. Like I said, views seem to be down across a lot of channels, and it's not just the fact they're down. Like I've said before, they're sort of not pushing the videos. When I look at the metrics, and I do them often, I don't pay super close attention to it, but when I look at the metrics, the videos being pushed to subscribers is very low compared to what it has been in the past. And from what I can see, based on looking at a large number of channels in this niche, in this sports card niche, it seems to be fairly consistent. So, that's one of the things that I'm sort of monitoring when it looks at like the trend of the hobby and where the hobby's heading, right? Is card collecting sort of losing some appetite on social media? And not just in terms of content, creation, but also consumption. And then does that translate to people not attending card shows? All this kind of stuff, right? It's obviously like a big, thing to try and put into one little, argument or analysis, but I'm seeing these dips. So I'm curious whether that dip is also being seen physically at card shows or at card stores. Are people spending less money? Is the economy, finally having an impact? What's going to happen now post-election? All that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm probably going to do another live stream this weekend. My brain's going all over the shop, so guys, please keep up. But I'll probably do another live stream at the same sort of time that we did last week. So, keep an eye out for that. And yeah, we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.